It's interesting because it's, for a lot of people, we're remote, right? So for most of the time, I know in my instance, I'm not physically working around people that I actually work on teams with. So that's an interesting dynamic all by itself, where there might be things going on that if you're not always in physical proximity to people, you don't know anything about it. And then, then there's that bizarre dynamic where people are expecting you to know things about people that you don't know because you've had a relationship with them for all this period of time, but your relationship has been completely non physical. It's been completely virtual, completely online. So like you were saying earlier, all you really know about the person is that persona that they present you when you're working with them in an online capacity, right? But then there are these other instances where, and Standing Rock, like is an instance that it loomed very large in my mind, because during that time there were a lot of activists who were very new to activism, actually, and they all went up to Standing Rock, but for a great cause, and they should have, and that was wonderful. But these are people who weren't used to, and I'm not saying that this is the fault of anybody's fault. It was just a very new dynamic of living in proximity with different people that a lot of people didn't know anything about. So you've got people who don't understand, who've never been involved in communal living, who don't understand the need to erect and enforce serious boundaries, that everybody isn't your friend,
right?
That, everybody who's there for the same reason isn't really there for the same reason. So there's all of that, typical general maturity kind of thing that we have to, that I have to kind of think, okay, not everybody is like 50 going into this like me.
Yeah.
That were, almost literally kids going up there. It's a Standing, spending months of time, Jacqueline, communal living with people that they didn't know.
But that's, I have to interrupt there because I think that is so critical. The fact that, you and I'm almost 40. I'm not going to say how old Noah is, but we have some years behind us to know these things when we go in. And that's kind of how we're able to avoid some of these situations, because we're old enough to have been in situations before we got into these spaces with people we don't know. And a lot of people who are in these scenarios, they're really young and they're vulnerable to being taken advantage of in some instances. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to highlight that part of what you were saying.
No, I'm glad you interrupted, because I wondered if I should say that, because I don't ever want to be like that older person who makes younger activists feel like they don't have anything to contribute because they're younger. I don't want to be that person. And that's really easy to get into. But that is a reality, that there's something to be said for a little bit of experience. At the same time, there were things that happened, that there was a lot of conjecture, a lot of accusations. See, this isn't new. And these allegations of sexual assault against women, it is not new in the progressive movement. The problem has been that because people were so emotionally invested in seeing Standing Rock succeed, and they were so emotionally invested with the people who were there, like you said earlier, Ben, that we become hero. We hero worship. We hero worship some of these people, and some of the people we heard some things about. Some people were like, well, I don't know if he would do such a thing. He's such a good activist. And, I don't know about her, and that kind of thing. And people were trying to tell their stories, but because people liked some of these personalities so much, their stories were drowned out.
Wow.
That's a shame.
That is so tragic. That is so tragic. I mean, we become the monster. We become the monster that we ostensibly want to fight. Not in so much that, in so much as the sexual assault, because like you said, it's always been there. But we begin to behave in manners that we've criticized vehemently with like Roy Moore like with people who knee-jerk defend them, and because that's their hero, that they would never see that it's possible that this guy is a predator. And we're doing that in our circles, in so much so that I honestly did not know, because I wasn't there and all I had was secondhand information. I had no idea some of the tragic things that were happening out at Standing Rock. And, you know, and I'm in these circles online, but what was happening there in person was totally different.
Yeah. And the thing, and then I'm gonna end my little bit here, because I want to give everybody, because Noah knows how I can talk. The thing that bothered me, I think, the most, aside from the fact that these things happen, and you know, I'm never going to name names, so I honestly don't know these people. I've never actually physically, I think I've physically met one of them, but I don't know these people. I don't have any authority to tell you who's telling the truth and who isn't.
Right.
So for me, that's my perspective. It's unfair for me to sit in front of a bunch of people and say, this is what I think about these allegations of a very personal nature, because of my personal relationship with this person. I feel really, really, really uncomfortable doing that, because like you said, there are things people don't know about me that would probably terrify them. So I'm don't take my word on anybody being a decent person. But what bothered me was when I brought up these concerns to other people who were more high profile, more visible in the online communities than me, who were men, who had personal relationships with these people. And I would say to them, look, I'm not in a position to ask these people if they actually did these things. You need to bring this up to them and ask them what's going on with this, and they wouldn't do it.
Wow.
So if we can, like Anoa said, if we can't even be comfortable enough to ask the question of the people we're in relationship with in this movement, then we're in a really horrible spot.
Wow. And what authority, or what gives us the right then to even be, you know, leaders in this issue, representing progressiveness, right? We have no moral authority above any other group, because these things are happening right here in our circles, and so many times we don't even say anything about it. And